13.
They did a nice job doing that today, and what they did is they gave the ball to Arian Foster, and they held the ball for twice as much time as the Bengals did. And there weren't a lot of turnovers. There were only 2 turnovers in that game, but what the defense handled Cincinnati, who has a pretty good offense, and they gave the ball to Arian Foster. And if that's the thing about running. Running backs they say it's a passing league, yet the way that you win is to hold the ball, keep the other team off the field, and the only way you can do that is with a running game. So running games are underrated at this point, and Arian Foster, their game plan was perfect today for a team like Cincinnati. Now, can they go into New England and win next week? I don't think they can, but it's going to be fun to watch.
Cincinnati haven't won a playoff game since 1990.
Were either of you guys alive in 1990?
We were just born, I think, Dash. We were about 3 months old.
Kindergarten, I think.
It's been a long... So you guys have never actually seen the Bengals win a playoff. I actually remember the Bengals winning a playoff game and going to the Super Bowl. And one of the most exciting Super Bowls ever, actually, early 90.
Every other team's won at least one playoff game since 1990, but Cincinnati.
Yeah, they're a... How do you say this? I'm trying to think of the Australian rules equivalent. They'd be like the Western Bulldogs.
Oh, come on, Steve, that hurts. But,
You're either going to say that or some killed us, so one of us is going to get kicked in there.
No,
I'm just trying to give an analogy. But here's the deal. They just have not done it. And see, the thing about the NFL, and really all sports, and you see it here in the AFL, it's an organization. It's not just the players. It's not just the coach. In the NFL, you've got to have a good owner. What does a good owner do? He gets the hell out of the way. He has a vision, he hires the people, and he lets them do their job. What's the problem with Dallas right now? They've got an overbearing owner. So a team like Cincinnati had Mike Brown, who is the son of Paul Brown, for whom the Cleveland Browns were named, but now he's in Cincinnati. He owned that team. Mike Brown, his son, is just collecting a check. He doesn't do a very good job. Ed Wyatt and I, for I don't know, Ed, how long was it? Like 5 or 6 years. We go, what the hell? As long as we had the job, we're like, why the hell does Marvin Lewis, their head coach, have a job? The team stinks every single year. Now, the last 2 years, they've made the playoffs. They also, the last 2 years, have had a pretty decent quarterback. So you've got to have a good owner. You've got to have a great general manager who gets the players in there. You've got to have a good head coach who puts the right scheme together. And you got to have players. So if you have players and you got everything working, you have a pretty good shot. That's why teams like the Giants are always in it. The Patriots are always in it. The Steelers are typically in it. Teams that have a good organization, top to bottom, are the teams that win. And that's all sports.
Couple of SMSs. Packers' new AP would be getting the ball last week and 5 weeks ago too. They shut down AP's outside run today. I could play quarterback in that Vikings side, says Nick.
Well, Nick, you think so, Nick?
Nick's probably thrown more than Webb. I'll say that one. So
how many passes did you guys see? How many times did Joe Webb throw the ball today?
we'll get a stat for it. But Nick feels confident that he could do a job.
Christian Lilydale says, wasn't hard for Texans as they knew Bengals were not going to run it. Why did they not use Green Ellis?
That's a question that I cannot answer. I think, teams that win are balanced teams, and a balanced team that is a team that has the threat of running and the threat of passing keeps a defense off balance. It's very difficult to game plan for the pass when a team's going to run, and it's very difficult to do the opposite. So you need that's kind of the problem in both those games. The Packers go into the game knowing today that even at the best of times, the Vikings are going to run the ball. But then last week, the one play that actually gave the Vikings a victory, because they played last week and last game of the regular season, was a pass from the injured Christian Ponder. So with Joe Webb, there wasn't that much, although Joe did throw a touchdown pass today.
Now, look, 2 great games today, 2 great games tomorrow. We're going to get stuck into shortly. 7 coaches fired. We'll talk about that in a moment. But the biggest story, I think, Steve, is Rex Ryan's tattoo. Because... for a start.
Is it true? Because I was told. Have you seen it? Why don't you Google that?
Google it. Is it superimposed? Is it true?
Isn't his wife only wearing Sanchez's jumper?
Yeah, so Rex Ryan.
So Rex Ryan is a coach of he still has a job. And I believe
he survived all
we'll
of that.
talk about that, but I believe that was the right decision. I don't think that's his issue there. Yeah, he was a guy who he did a video with his wife. And you have to, as a married guy, I think it's wonderful that a guy would do a video with his wife. He did a video with his wife, and this guy has he likes feet. I got a brother that likes feet. Like I'm sitting there talking to my brother, and we're talking about the most beautiful women, and he's like, "Yeah, I've seen this gal, and I saw her feet, dude." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" As long as she has feet and they're not bigger than mine, I'm cool. But Rex was really into feet, and so there's this video that you can Google right now, Rex Ryan foot fetish.
Now this foot story came out about this time 12 months ago.
I thought it was longer than that, but it's been.
It wasn't all that long ago.
Well, the people right now, people are very upset with Rex because Rex, Sexy Rexy as he's called, has not come out. He's not addressed the media. His general manager Tenenbaum was fired,
which is against the rules, isn't it? Compulsory. You got your after your last game and then your postseason.
I know that it's compulsory that you do it. I don't know that you absolutely have to. That it's a written rule that you have to address the media at the end of the season. Every coach has done it. So, and listen, Harbaugh, if you've ever seen Harbaugh talk to the media, he'd rather have a colonoscopy and a root canal at the same time than talk to the media. I think he would. And so he doesn't like doing it. Most of these coaches do not. Belichick doesn't enjoy it. So these guys don't enjoy it. And Rex seems to love it. And I'm wondering, why the hell wouldn't he do it? I guess the only thing you'd say is, look, our team was terrible. They gave me Tebow. I didn't want Tebow. Tebow was forced on me. My general manager didn't go out and get me any players to support the quarterback that we had. Our team was crap on the field, and what do you guys want? That's the thing, is that team. There were 7 coach firings, as you said. I thought there could have been as many as 10. I'm glad that the Jets refrained from doing that. But it is funny. Think about this. You ever watch a movie and say it's a hostage movie? Mm-hmm. Who's the first hostage to get hit or to get shot? It's usually the guy with the big mouth.
Yep.
Yeah.
The first guy to get fired when things go wrong in a company is the funny guy. You never want to be funny guy. You want to be a guy who's funny, but you don't always want to be funny guy. Rex, you think about it, the S is the proverbial's hitting the fan in New York, and he's out there guaranteeing Super Bowls. I would flick that guy in a second, right, just because of his mouth. So you need to be smarter. And so he's come out and he said all these different things, and that, his dad was the same way. So it's probably his dad was Buddy Ryan, who coached the Eagles. He was a defensive coordinator for the Bears when they won the title before you guys were born in '85. You guys were around in '85?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, 85 was my year of birth.
Oh, there you go.
I was 4 then, so I remember that year very clearly.
Yeah, so they were, Buddy Ryan was that way, and I think the other brother, Rob, who's the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys, is that way. They're just brash. They like to talk. To me, teams that talked, I always thought of them as teams that were scared. When you see teams talk, you walk out onto a field and they're talking a bunch of bleep, they're nervous. And so I've always saw that as a weakness, and he talks way too much.
He does. And what's happened over the last couple of days, he's been spotted holidaying rather than doing a press conference or dealing with the horrible season ahead on a holiday, which everyone deserves to go on after a long year.
Yeah.
And there's a tattoo on his arm of his wife.
Wearing a Sanchez jersey.
Nothing but a Sanchez jersey. Now, is it real?
I don't know. I'd heard that this happened, and I thought, someone's pulling my leg. There's no way that actually happened. And I've heard this, and this is just the last couple of days that this is coming out. I think I may have talked to someone about this in the airport flying over here. It's a I don't know. I don't know if it's real. I don't know why he would do a Sanchez jersey, because the two of them, they're two complete opposites. Sanchez is California cool, nice looking guy. Probably scores with every woman he wants. And then you've got Rex, who's this, chubby East Coast guy and defensive coordinator. So they're two completely different dudes. So the idea of him honoring Sanchez.
Maybe it's an ironic tattoo.
It could, if he's done that, I've got a lot more points. Yeah. I've got a tattoo myself. It's permanent, right? I've had that thing for 20 years. So you should think pretty. You should think long and hard before getting it. So if he's done it, good for him.
We are going to take a break. The Melbourne Stars with 3 balls left are 7 for 144. Plenty of SMSs coming through, but we are going to talk all the latest odds from Betstar. James McLaughlin, the US sporting expert from Betstar, to join us after this. Betstar, the home of US sport in Australia, and to celebrate, they have $2 power lines on all NFL games from 4 p.m. every Sunday. Head to betstar.com.au or betstar.mobi to check them out. A break and back with you.
This is Bet Stars and Stripes with Dr. Turf, Ed Wyatt and Alice Gander.
Welcome back, 28 minutes to 9 o'clock. Steve Salisbury, Cameron Luke and Darren Parkin here filling in for the crew. Plenty of SMSs working their way through to us. It is Betstars and Stripes thanks to Betstar. Betstar offer the best of the best on all Saturday and selected public holiday metro meets. Half an hour prior to the jump, select it for the best of the tote or top fluck, whichever happens to be higher. We are to be joined now by James McLaughlin, the NFL and American sports trader at Betstar, and he's going to take us through the odds for the games coming up today, but also a little bit of NBA, a little bit of college as well. James, thank you for your time.
No worries. Thanks for having me, boys.
Now, you've got Darren Parkin here with Steve Salisbury. Now, where do we want to start? We might start with the Colts and the Ravens.
Colts and the Ravens. It's been a little quiet, the betting so far. The Ray Lewis announcement sort of pushed some action there earlier in the week. So they're at -7 at $1.95.
They're giving 7 points, are they?
7 point start, yeah, at home. Baltimore.
That's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought so. I think the Colts are $3.50 straight out, which seems a pretty big price to me. But we'll see how that runs.
I'm guessing you watch a lot of these games, and you put the lines together. I'm amazed that they would give 7. I mean, the way that team is played, they destroyed the Giants a couple weeks ago, but the Giants are they're really hit or miss. You get one season, you get a team that would beat every team, and the next weekend they're the worst team in football. But that seems like a lot. That seems like a really good bet to go with the Colts, because they can score the football on virtually anybody. The Colts can, and they've got the best young quarterback in football right now.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think there'll definitely be some money coming late, particularly with our power lines. We're off the $2 lines tonight, so there's some value there. 7 start at $2. I think we'll be getting a bit of action there as the night proceeds.
Whilst we're at it, Steve, I guess your tip and margin in that game?
I like the Ravens to win that thing, but not by 7.
Okay.
I'd say, I see something. I see 24-21, 24-20. The Colts, their quarterback is so good. Although the one thing I will say, maybe this is one of the reasons they have the line where they do, James, is that a lot of rookie quarterbacks have not fared well in their first playoff game. So maybe that's part of it. But I mean, the Colts, they've got a guy there in Andrew Luck who is as good. I mean, he's young, but he's as good. He does things that 10-year veterans do. So yeah. I like the Colts in that bet. I think the Colts will. I think they lose the game, but I don't think they.
The $2 power line, very tempting there. The Seattle Seahawks against the Washington Redskins. Seattle $1.64, and Washington $2.30. Is that the latest updates?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's on the money there, and Seattle are a 3-point head start.
So they're a 3-point favorite in that.
In Washington, yeah, which is quite surprising. There's been a bit of money there.
It is surprising. I mean, but I guess it's an interesting one because the Seahawks have been the last probably 4 weeks. They've been the best team in football. I mean, they destroyed 3 teams. I mean, they beat the Niners, who are a Super Bowl team, and they just crushed them. And they've won. Their defense has been great. They may have peaked too soon, but the one thing you could say about the Seahawks is that they're unbeatable at home, but they're very ordinary on the road. So the fact that they're going into Washington, a team that themselves have won 7 games, I don't know. I like Seattle to win that game, and I think they probably win it by more than 3 points. But I still think that that's an attractive bet.
Yeah, it's a tough one. You can sort of make a case to both teams there. Washington obviously at home. Make a case against Seattle with not being able to travel too well, but then their defense is so good. So
we might also look at, not to put you on the spot, but the BCS championship game between Alabama and Notre Dame as well. I think it's stacked pretty heavily in Alabama's favour.
It is, yeah. Bama $1.25 to win. Notre Dame $3.90. The Irish were 10.5 point outsiders. That's come into 9.5, which is a pretty staggering line considering how they've gone this season.
See, that's a very good point you make, James. These guys, I think Notre Dame wins that ball game. I think they win the game, and I think that for 2 reasons. Number one, every single week they've been tested. They went into places like Oklahoma, destroyed that team. They've got a lot of seniors on that team. And that's actually, there's 2 reasons right there. I actually like them for even more than those 2 reasons. The SEC is down. They're not as strong as they were. The team that won the title last year lost several players. They only returned, I think, 11 starters. Alabama has. And they have not been that great. So I think I'm gonna lay some money on Notre Dame. I just think Notre Dame wins. And there's this prevailing thought in the States that people who don't watch it very closely just by default go, oh, it's the SEC, they're going to win. But this